Beyond the bubbles. We are living through a chronically tense and desperately self-indulgent period. Advertising teaches that fulfillment comes with compulsive consumption. News media package history and turn coverage of vital issues into a competition of spectacles and personality cults. Addicted to fads and immediate gratification, frightened of the future and cut adrift from the past, millions of people look for meaning in pre-digested realities. Virtual images dominate our days and begin to feel more real than we do. Experts, meanwhile, provide clever color commentary on the psychic assault and the breakdown of culture. Narcissism has reached the epidemic level. Traditionally, the narcissist was defined as someone who relates only to his own or her own image or problems. But it also involves other traits: exploitation of the warmth provided by others, fear of dependence, a sense of inner emptiness, boundless repressed rage, and unsatisfied cravings. Narcissists can be pseudo-intellectuals or calculating seducers. Usually they fear old age and death and are fascinated with celebrities. These callous, superficial climbers seek out the famous, yet they are also compelled at times to destroy their idols. If this merely described a few sick individuals, we could feel relieved or safe. But narcissistic behavior is becoming widespread and is reinforced daily. Perhaps most disquieting, the narcissistic personality is ideally suited for positions of power, the type of leader who sells himself to win at any price. Capitalism has turned self-promotion into a growth industry. Success often rests on the ability to project a winning personality and a fabricated image. Relentless self-promotion by conservative demagogues or their radical counterparts meshes neatly with idealizing powerful people, those who represent what the narcissist seeks. They identify with winners out of a fear of being losers. The object of hero worship gives meaning to the frequently unfocused lives of society's many emotional casualties. Yet, mixed with this idealization is an urge to degrade the object of one's admiration, sparked when the hero ultimately disappoints them. This desperate need, intensified by the machinery of mass promotion, can turn even assassination, political or physical, into spectacle. Among the influences that reinforce narcissism, mass media have the most pervasive impact. They tend to create both a sense of chronic tension and a cynical detachment from reality. But detachment does not have to express itself as cynicism. It can also lead to intelligent skepticism. Efforts are underway to more clearly identify and block obvious fake news, but the underlying problem is that many people enjoy it, at least when it intrigues, titillates, or confirms a pre-existing belief or bias. It has become a guilty pleasure, and for some, an addictive defense against unwelcome trends and information. That's why skepticism is such a useful defense. If something looks too good to be true, it probably is. That means double-checking, examining sources, and resisting the temptation to act impulsively. Critical thinking is the best inoculation against fake narratives and stories. Cultivating this skill should begin in school as early as possible and continue through every grade. We need a new curriculum for the digital age, one combining the technical side with theory courses that dig into propaganda, mass media, political theory, and research. Wikipedia is great but limited, a place to begin but not complete a search for truth. Media literacy isn't just about mastering code and devices, but also about knowing the difference between news and opinion, between fact and speculation, between bias and fairness. In the popular imagination, American society is divided into two distinct cultures of roughly equal size, the liberal and right-wing bubbles. In fact, there has never been much proof of that. Part of the problem is a related illusion that there are just two sides to any issue. Recent research challenges this construct. One study looked specifically at the reach of fake news. Another focused on opinion polls about the tax cut bill that Congress had passed in December 2017. Together, they revealed that most Americans are better informed and less impressionable than we may think. Both Trump and Clinton supporters read fake stories, the studies found, but the Clinton group consumed less. And while many people are exposed to fake stories, far fewer are taken in, at least based on how many similar articles they subsequently read. Only about 10% of news consumers seek out more fake news. Most people continue to get their information from a variety of sources. Often exposed to opinions they don't share, they do not live in an echo chamber. Another study observed the effectiveness of fact-checking. The truth is that most people never read the fact check of a claim in a fake news article they have already read. However, while those inside the right-wing bubble show little interest in outside sources, their misleading language and memes often migrate from the fringe to the mainstream media. This suggests that merely calling out fake news is not a solution. So, the good news is that the two bubbles theory, the image of America divided into two partisan camps, is an exaggeration, a distorted construct. Despite perception management, hybrid warfare, and the struggle over what or what is not fake, most people still share a fact-based view of reality. On the other hand, polarization is speeding up around the world, right along with faster communication. The situation is reminiscent of an experiment conducted in 1970. Students were divided into two groups, high and low prejudice, based on their initial answers to a questionnaire. Each group was told to discuss a series of controversial issues, then answer the questions again. According to Elizabeth Colbert, these surveys revealed a striking pattern. Simply by talking to one another, the bigoted students had become more bigoted and the tolerant more tolerant. This is how societies break down and extremism spreads. Instead, we need to think outside the bubbles and the echo chambers and relearn how to disagree without escalating every conflict into an apocalyptic showdown. In his message to the faithful in January 2018, Pope Francis eloquently defined the challenge. Quote, "Disinformation thrives on the absence of healthy confrontation with other sources of information that could effectively challenge prejudices and generate constructive dialogue. Instead, it risks turning people into unwilling accomplices and spreading biased and baseless ideas." Yet repeating lies and distortions, while persuasive for a while, does not make them any more true. Even those comfortable living in a bubble must eventually face themselves and the truth about demagogues who pose as proud patriots, but instead deliver resentment and disappointment. Despite presidential lies and the eruption of fake news, fair, fact-based reporting survives. In fact, being bullied and called fake may have provided some needed energy and focus. After years of declining public trust, both establishment and independent journalists are gaining credibility again and demonstrating why the truth still matters and a free press is more essential than ever. Let's end where we began, with The Golden House, Salman Rushdie's book about assimilation and class in America. At the end of the book, the ambitious young filmmaker narrating the story sums things up this way. "It had been more than a year since the Joker's conquest of America, and we are all still in shock and going through the stages of grief. But now we needed to come together and set love and beauty and solidarity and friendship against the monstrous forces that faced us. Humanity was the only answer to the cartoon." This was Fake News by Greg Guma, released by Maverick Books.